Picture this scenario because I bet almost everyone has felt it. You're scrolling through listings on a Saturday morning and you see it. A 2018 Honda Civic with 85,000 miles asking $12,500. Your heart rate elevates. Well maintained. One previous owner. Recently detailed. You feel that flutter in your chest. Freedom. No more bus schedules. No more Uber conversations. You sit in that driver's seat and for just a moment, you feel wealthy. The steering wheel feels substantial. The seats smell like possibility. You test drive it for 10 minutes and everything feels different, like you finally crossed into adulthood. Then you do the deal. $3,000 down, 6 months of savings. You finance the remaining $9,500 at 8.7%. You drive off the lot feeling vindicated. 2 weeks later, registration, $287. Insurance quotes, $168 monthly. You didn't budget for either. A week after, the check engine light flickers. Catalytic converter replacement, $800. Your stomach sinks. You have no cushion. You've created an obligation disguised as freedom. Here's what nobody tells you. This isn't bad luck. This is systematic. This is engineered. Most financial gurus will tell you to buy used instead of new. Avoid new car depreciation, they say. True enough. A new $35,000 car loses value faster. But here's what they never mention. The used car market is designed specifically to separate people without capital from their money as efficiently as possible. And I spend way too much time thinking about how financial systems extract wealth from people with no margin for error. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why the $8,000 car rule is one of the most insidious financial mistakes people make. Not because buying an $8,000 car is inherently wrong, but because of what it costs you over 10 years and how it systematically prevents you from ever building real wealth. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up because the numbers I'm about to show you will completely shift how you think about car ownership. You'll start seeing the hidden cost that everyone around you is paying, but nobody's talking about. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night. There's a specific price point where car ownership stops being transportation and becomes a wealth extraction mechanism. That price point is roughly $8,000. This has a name. It's called the buy, borrow, bleed zone, and it's where financial reality inverts completely. When you buy a car for $8,000, you've just spent enough money that it feels significant, enough to validate the purchase, but not enough that you confront the full cost structure. You feel smart because you didn't buy the $35,000 car. You feel responsible. You did your research. You found a good deal. The mathematical reality is devastating. The average American household spends $10,961 per year on car expenses. Not just the payment. The payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, registration. For someone carrying a $9,500 car loan at 8.7% on a $45,000 salary, this $10,961 is 24% of gross income, just for the privilege of being mobile. This isn't a guideline. It's a mathematical fact with consequences that ripple through every financial decision you'll make for the next decade. Let me give you the actual numbers. You're earning $45,000 annually. That's roughly $800 net monthly after taxes. You buy an $8,000 used car with a $3,000 down payment and finance 5,000 years at 8.7% over 60 months. Your monthly car payment is $103. But here's where people underestimate the true cost. You need insurance. Liability coverage on a finance vehicle runs $120 to $180 monthly, depending on age and driving record. Let's say $135. That's already $238 monthly just for payment and legal requirements. Now add gas. The Civic gets 28 miles per gallon. Americans drive 13,500 miles yearly, about 482 monthly. At 28 mpg, that's 17 gallons monthly. Gas at 3.40 per gallon is $55 monthly. That car is 6 years old. Oil changes every 5,000 to 7,000 miles, roughly every 5 months at $40 each. Tires need replacement eventually. $600 for a full set. Lasts 40,000 miles. That's $10 monthly amortized. Filters, brake pads, fluids, unexpected repairs. Industry standard is 15 cents per mile on older vehicles. On 482 miles monthly, that's $72. Add it up. $103 payment, $135 insurance, $55 gas, $10 tires, $72 maintenance. That's $375 monthly. On $2,800 net income, that's 13.4% of your take-home money. Then something breaks outside the plan. Transmission leak, battery replacement, suspension work. Suddenly, you're looking at $200 you don't have. Credit card at 18% interest. Now you're paying for a 6-year-old car with borrowed money at credit card rates. Here's where the math becomes absolutely ridiculous. In 10 years, you will have spent approximately $45,000 on that $8,000 car. $5,000 in principal, $16,200 in car payments and interest, $16,200 in insurance, $6,600 in gas, $1,200 in maintenance. The car will be worth $3,000 to $4,000 as a 16-year-old vehicle. You've transformed $8,000 of value into $4,000 while spending $45,000 to do it. Now compare this. Take that $3,000 down payment and invest it at 8% annually. In 10 years, it grows to $6,486. Instead of buying the car, use ride sharing and public transportation, $300 monthly, $36,000 over 10 years. You spend more in absolute transportation dollars, but you own an asset worth $6,486 instead of one worth $3,500. You maintain flexibility. You haven't locked capital into a depreciating machine. Most people don't run this math. They feel the car is necessary, so they buy it. In doing so, they accept a $40,000 cost to solve what should be a $15,000 to $20,000 problem. Here's what most people don't realize. You're not buying a car. You're buying an identity and control you're desperately short on. When earning $45,000 with everyone around you seemingly wealthy, you're experiencing status anxiety. You're in the exhausting middle where you can see the life you want but can't access it. A car bridges that gap. It signals adulthood. The problem? You're solving a psychological problem with a financial instrument that doesn't work that way. When you drive off the lot, the dopamine hits. Your sense of control increases. But psychologists call what happens next hedonic adaptation. The feeling lasts about 3 weeks. Then the car becomes invisible. You return to baseline. Except the bill remains every month. Sunk cost thinking is lethal. Once you've made that $3,000 down payment, your brain justifies the decision in retrospect. Doubt becomes defensiveness. You tell yourself stories. I needed reliable transportation. I couldn't rely on the bus. These stories aren't false, just incomplete. Your brain protects you from cognitive dissonance. This becomes worse when something breaks. That $800 repair? You're already $3,000 deep. Your brain refuses to lose. You throw good money after bad, rationalizing each repair as cheaper than a new car payment. You're not making rational decisions. You're experiencing a psychological system terrible with money because it conflates emotional needs with financial optimization. But it gets significantly darker. When you commit $375 per month to a depreciating asset, every financial choice becomes constrained. That $375 monthly not building wealth? If invested at 8% for 30 years, it grows to approximately $487,000 a year. 30 years of car payments cost you $500,000 in retirement. That's not metaphor. That's mathematics. Most people don't keep a car 10 years. They buy again at 4 or 5. Over a 40-year career, that's 8 cars, 8 purchases, each the same psychological trap, each destroying wealth accumulation when compound growth matters most. A $45,000 earner buying an $8,000 car faces 13% of take-home going to payments. A $120,000 earner with the same car faces 4%. Identical math, completely different impact. The $45,000 earner can't save aggressively, take financial risks, or leave a bad job. They're in scarcity mode, where every dollar is allocated. In scarcity mode, you make worse decisions. You don't shop for better insurance. You don't negotiate effectively. You don't take opportunities requiring initial investment. Someone avoiding the $8,000 car decision spends $400 monthly on public transit and ride sharing. After 2 years, they've saved $8,000. In 5 years, they have $20,000. They're not in scarcity mode. They have options. The car decision also affects housing. That $375 payment reduces mortgage borrowing power by $40,000 to $50,000. Someone without the payment qualifies for a $300,000 house, with one $250,000. The difference is a neighborhood appreciating 4% versus 2%. Over 30 years, that's $720,000 in equity versus $450,000. The $8,000 car decision just cost you $270,000 in home appreciation. Now, you might be thinking several things, and I'm going to address them directly because these are legitimate concerns. First, Bobby, I need a car. I live where public transportation doesn't exist, and I drive 45 minutes to work. You might. The question isn't whether you need transportation. The question is which method of solving for mobility destroys your wealth the most. The answer is taking on debt for a depreciating asset is the most destructive. If you genuinely need a car, could you buy one outright? Could you buy a cheaper car? Could you carpooling? I'm not saying these are painless. I'm saying one option destroys wealth and the others don't. Second, but I'll build equity in the car. I'm paying down a loan. You'll build equity in a depreciating asset at a rate slower than it depreciates after paying interest. That's not equity building. That's loss management. An asset losing 10% annually while you pay 8.7% interest is not building equity. It's destroying it mathematically. Third, what about reliability? A cheap used car breaks down more. Sometimes true, often overstated. A 2018 Civic with 85,000 miles is quite reliable. Modern cars run reliably to 200,000 miles. The question is whether increased reliability is worth the cost premium. Sometimes, often not. Do the math on your situation. Fourth, how do I get transportation without a car payment? This deserves a real answer. You don't accept the binary between car payments and no transportation. You have options based on your location, income, and timeline. Public transportation, ride sharing, motorcycles or scooters, buying an older car with cash after saving, carpooling. Some are less convenient. None are impossible. According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, the average household spends $10,961 annually on transportation. This number has grown 20% faster than wages over 15 years. For households earning $40,000 to $60,000, transportation now consumes 22% to 28% of income, compared to 16% to 18% 20 years ago. A Federal Reserve study found that 44% of vehicle owners are upside down on their loans, owing more than the car is worth. This isn't individual failure. This is systemic design. The auto financing industry is structured to create this outcome. Dealers profit from financing, not just the car sale. Cox Automotive reports the average used car now costs $28,000. The cheap used car advice is increasingly hard to follow. You can buy $8,000 used, but it's older, higher mileage, or accident damaged. CarMax analyzed nearly 2 million transactions and found vehicles in the $8,000 to $12,000 range have a 31% higher probability of needing a repair over $1,000 in the first year compared to vehicles over $15,000. These savings are partially illusory. You're buying lower cost but higher repair risk. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration data shows distracted driving, speeding, and violations correlate strongly with financial stress. When people are in scarcity mode, they drive faster, less attentive, have more accidents. An $8,000 car decision pushing someone into scarcity mode doesn't just affect finances. It affects safety. So what is the solution? How do you navigate car ownership when you need transportation but can't afford wealth destruction? Here's what I want you to do. First, Make an honest assessment of whether you actually need a car. Not for social reasons, not because everyone has one. Actually need it. If you live in a city with public transportation and you're paying for a car to avoid feeling poor, the solution isn't a better car. It's a different transportation strategy. Calculate public transportation plus occasional ride sharing versus that $375 monthly number. You'll probably save money immediately. If you do need a car, establish a purchase date 5 years forward and save for it. Open a separate account labeled Car Fund. Deposit $200 monthly. In 5 years, you have $12,000. Buy a car with cash, no interest, no loan, no monthly obligation. You sleep better. This is standard practice for people who build wealth. They save for purchases. They don't finance at 8.7%. If you can't wait 5 years, buy the cheapest reliable used car you can find that meets needs. I'm talking $2,000 to $3,000. Yes, it's older. Yes, repairs might happen. But you're not taking on debt, which means you maintain flexibility and stay out of scarcity mode. Then use what would be monthly payments to build your real car fund. If you absolutely must finance, establish firm boundaries. Maximum $4,000 purchase, maximum 24-month term, maximum $150 monthly payment. A 24-month loan at 8.7% on $4,000 is about $190 monthly, significantly less destructive than standard 5-year loans. Core principle: own your car. Don't let your car own you through monthly payments extending 5 years. Ownership means freedom. I want to leave you with a reframe I think about constantly. You don't have a car problem. You have a status problem and a control problem that you're trying to solve by purchasing a car. The car isn't the solution. It's an expensive placeholder. The status problem is real. In American society, your car signals something about you. A new BMW signals differently than public transit. This is how our society works. But here's what matters. People with actual generational wealth don't solve status through cars. They solve it through other signals. Prestigious education, the right neighborhood, career titles. They buy reliable, unimpressive cars and drive them 10 years. They understand a car payment is literally the opposite of wealth. The control problem is also real. Your life probably doesn't feel controllable. You work a job you might not love, make money you can't stretch far enough, operate with narrow margin for error. A car feels like control because it's something you can afford, choose, own. The psychological need is legitimate. The solution of financing an $8,000 car is catastrophic. Here's the reframe. Every month, avoiding a car payment, you're accumulating actual wealth, not illusion, not signal, real wealth. You're compounding money. You're avoiding interest. You're staying out of scarcity mode to make better decisions everywhere else. And here's the opportunity cost reframe that should disturb you. That $375 monthly payment at age 28 costs you roughly $487,000 in retirement savings by 58. That's half your retirement. When you reframe the car as, do I want to retire $500,000 earlier or later, the decision becomes clear. A car is transportation. It's not worth half your retirement. The wealthy people you know made different car decisions early. They drove unreliable used cars or took the bus. They invested instead of financing depreciating assets. By 40, they had options. By 50, they had freedom. By 60, they could retire. The person buying the $8,000 car at 28 is working until 70. Here's what you need to understand. The $8,000 car rule isn't really about the number. It's about recognizing you're in a system designed to extract your wealth through psychology and financial instruments you don't fully understand. Once you see the trap, you can't unsee it. Every car commercial becomes an advertisement for a mortgage you don't need. Every car payment becomes a transfer of your future earnings to a financial institution. The good news is this is completely fixable. It requires discipline, delayed gratification, accepting that public transit or an old used car beats a car payment. People who make this unpopular choice in the moment aren't stressed about money at 40. They can change jobs without panic. They retire at 55 instead of 75. They have control. If this landed for you, if something clicked, smash that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone about to make the $8,000 mistake. Comment below and tell me what your car costs monthly, because I guarantee it's more than you calculated. And commit to one action. Open a spreadsheet, calculate your actual monthly car cost, multiply by remaining ownership years. See the real number. That number is your wealth. You're deciding whether to keep it or give it away. The math isn't complicated. The psychology is hard. But once you understand what you're actually paying for that car, you can make an actual choice instead of accepting the defect.